Come on in, guys. Got a lot to discuss on the day as the trade deadline has come to an end. A whole lot to discuss as you can see this statement up here on your screen. We got Steve Kerr still speaking on Jonathan Kuminga. So, yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about. Really, three topics I really want to get into, but whatever y'all want to bring to the table on the day, I'm down. Just let me know. I'm going to wait till a few more people come up in here. But the trade deadlines ended. I guess the biggest deal was AD going to the Washington Wizards. And obviously Jonathan Kuminga getting out of Golden State Warriors was something people was happy about because now we can see what he's capable of down there with Jalen Johnson. And it's weird, to me that Steve Kerr is still speaking on this man. Um, let him be gone. You didn't want to use him. You didn't think he added anything to your lineup, so they finally did the right thing. They finally did the right thing. What moves did y'all like? What moves did y'all like at this trade deadline? I think some teams got better. Some teams have positioned themselves. John Morant, the asking price for the Grizzlies. Let me look that up again. I want y'all to know what they was asking for, what the Miami Heat was asking for. I want to say it was Jaime Jaquez. Uh, Let me see. Heat job. I just seen that recently. Come on in here, guys. Come on in here. We about to enjoy ourselves today. So first, I want to talk about Steve Kerr. He spoke to ESPN after Jonathan Kuminga's departure. He says, "I think it was a tough situation for everybody, given how raw he was when he got here and given we were still playing for championships. He needed the runway to make more mistakes. He needed the experience of being in the NBA and understanding what it was about. For him, it was very tough not being allowed to make those mistakes. For us as a staff, it was tricky trying to develop him while we were trying to win. I think it's as simple as that. Everybody liked him. I liked him. He's a really good guy, very personable, well liked in the locker room, just a tough fit. So he's chalking it up to a tough fit. And a lot of Golden State Warriors fans like, look, you ended up with Kristaps Porzingis, a banged up Kristaps Porzingis. There was no use for him at this point. I agree with y'all. I think Jonathan Kaminga should have been developed. I've been on record saying after the championship where Wiggins was the starter, anytime after that, we shouldn't have seen any DMPs from Jonathan Kaminga. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think we should have seen any DMPs after that point. But he stuck with his lineups, and now Kaminga gets to go on and do what he does best. He get to do what he does best. Um, Young athletic team. Perfect fit for him down there in Atlanta. What y'all think? Do y'all like Kaminga in Atlanta? I love him in Atlanta alongside Jalen Johnson. To be honest with you, um, but yeah, Steve Kerr still talking about him. Just let him be gone, man. It's over. He don't have to live that nightmare no more. They said it was tough on everybody. No, it's tough on him because he's the one that's not gonna get paid what he probably could have earned had he got to get out there and show what he could do on a regular basis. And then y'all held him hostage a little bit longer. Um, it don't hurt you, Steve Kerr. You already got your championships. You already set and etched in stone. But this guy here, he wanted to make his mark in the league. So, I just kind of want to touch on that. I want to go to something else because this has been going viral. A lot of comments about John Morant, and his father during this trade deadline. And they didn't ask for much. I think Miami, I think the Grizzlies asked for Jaime Jaquez was like another player and a pick, something like that. But they're saying that Ja, um, or yeah, they're saying Ja didn't want to go to Sacramento, and they're saying that T put this post up after the trade deadline, basically blocking out all the noise, trying to make it look like all the rumors and everything you've been hearing about Ja moving on to another team was just that, just a rumor. But I just don't think this is the brightest thing. Kendrick Perkins is right. In a few years after this contract runs out, then you may not be in the league. So to go out there and put that up there, that was because people didn't want to give up any assets to get Ja. It wasn't like they wanted to hold on to him like Milwaukee's doing for Giannis. No, they just didn't want to give up anything to get him. So people are getting on T Morant for going out there and posting that after the trade deadline. Obviously, Memphis is in a rebuild and they want to move on from everybody that was on that team just a few years ago. And they had to hold on to Ja. If I'm Ja, I have to. I guess he's injured right now, but you finish this season as strong as you can and keep your interest up. But I thought it was interesting. Like, wasn't interested in Sacramento at all. And Sacramento was the one team that really wanted him, really saw him as a player that could get back to that level he was at. So, yeah, man, I think this is tone deaf by the father again. It's been a lot of distractions and things like that in Memphis. Just let it ride. This isn't one where they wanted to keep him. They just couldn't give him away. So, you got to look at it like that sometimes too, man. Now, Giannis, he spoke, uh, legends don't chase, they attract. This is from the Wolf of Wall Street. He spoke about, basically he wants to be a Milwaukee Buck for the foreseeable future, and that he never wanted to leave. This is the picture that he's painting. He wanted to stay with the team, and the Milwaukee Bucks say straight from the source. You had Doc Rivers trolling them, saying they're gonna put Shams on the trading block. Now, that's all fine and everything, but we remember Giannis saying that he might not finish the year with the team. Just a few weeks ago. So there was some smoke there. It's not like they pulled it out of thin air, but Giannis is there. They believe they can build a contender around him. So yeah, man, Giannis still a buck, and this is what they said it came down to. And I thought this highlighted a specific team. They said that they don't feel like Giannis's ego would allow him to be the second option. What teams that? What one team does that sound like that was pursuing Giannis to y'all? It sound like Golden State Warriors. They the only team that had a shot at Giannis where he would have been like a second option. Because Steph would have still been the first option on that team. And they said they feel like his ego wouldn't allow him to be a second option. That was one of the reports that came out. Um, also Miami, they wanted to put him and Ja together, it just didn't happen. I don't think the Bucks really wanted to give Giannis to Miami, given their playoff history and put them in position to have a chance to come out the East. So it is what it is, man. Giannis is still there. Ja's still there. We expected to see both of those guys moved at one point. If you would have asked us 2 weeks ago, would both of those players be moved? Absolutely. There was no way that I thought we'd get through this trade deadline um, with them both at their respective teams. So for people that missed it, I see a few more people coming in here now. We started talking about Jonathan Kuminga and Steve Kerr speaking on Kuminga again. And if you haven't seen what he said, I'm gonna go back to it, put it right here on your screen. Um, Steve Kerr, he spoke to ESPN and was talking about how difficult it was to get Jonathan Kuminga on the court during his tenure, and said that they were still a team that was contending for championships. He was such a young, raw player that he didn't have a chance to develop him. And I would give him that all the way through 2022 when they won it with Wiggins. But after that season, There is no way. There is no way. What's going on, Hotline Bling? Is a good song. Yeah, he's a Hawk. Ready to see him get down with him too. Steve Kerr basically saying, I don't know why you come out and say this now. He's with the Atlanta Hawks. Just say he's not with the team anymore. Ask me questions about the team because a lot of people are upset that they brought in Kristaps Porzingis. Hawks might be scary. Yeah, I like what they doing. I like what they doing. I like what Shea Cousin is doing for them. Um, I remember they was talking about trading Aneka one time, but I like Okonkwo. How's he been playing this year? The games I seen him, he looked really good. I've been liking Okonkwo since he played with Lamelo and Lonzo and them at Chino Hills in high school. He was a good prospect and everything. Let me know what was y'all favorite moves from this trade deadline. The Hornets got Kobe White, got some more offensive depth. He's been dogging. He plays well. Yeah, I thought so. And he stretches the floor really well too. He had a nice touch. He's a rim protector. He finishes strong. I don't know what that report was that I read. It's probably been about a month or two ago that they were. I guess you always see what you can get for somebody, but for me, I thought Okonkwo was playing really well. What other moves y'all like at this deadline? Some of them people we thought we was gonna see moved, didn't get moved, man. Saw a lot of cash consideration moves, and Sham said that John Morant remained with the Memphis Grizzlies past today's NBA trade deadline. Multiple teams were intrigued by Morant's talent, but none were willing to make a serious offer. And that's why I don't know why his father put what he put on X. Like they were basically drowning out all the noise and that it was just rumors because um, Harden to the Cavs. Yep. Yeah, that was a good one. They had to do something different. Harden get him some more size in the back court. You look at Garland and Mitchell, both 6'1", 6'2" at best, you know, and they were exposed by Indiana last year because the New York Knicks gave Indiana a much better series than that team did, and you think about the regular season that they had last year, it was at least finals or bust. And the way that they ran through them in the Eastern Conference was that the Eastern Conference Finals. It was like, you know, wasted season. Harden finally with a well-rounded roster. Every team he was on was top heavy and hurt. Yeah, yeah, he was in Houston, and yeah, if you look at it, Maxi was so young still, and Philly and Embiid, that's where the injuries really started to mount up for Embiid when he was there. You look at Brooklyn, man, there was so much going on in Brooklyn behind the scenes, things that I've heard. It's just that was insane. Houston, they had a pretty good team, once upon a time in Houston. That team with CP3 had a real chance, but Chris ended up getting hurt. Yeah, he's got a roster now though. And they saying that LeBron might try to come back next year. Who knows though? What was y'all favorite moves from this deadline? Let me know. For the people that's coming in here, we were just talking about T Morant putting up that post, basically like drowning out the haters or whatever, and like that move or job being traded was just a myth, but it's only because teams didn't want to give away any assets to acquire Ja. If you go look on X and see what the asking price was for Ja, you'd be appalled. That's all they wanted for him. Cam Thomas being bought out shocked me. I get he don't play defense, but nothing. Yeah, he Cam Thomas, he's gonna be one of those guys. I wonder will a playoff or not even a yeah a playoff team may try to sign him to be a bench scorer. He just needs one of those teams that get lets him do what he does, almost like Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams was in their primes. He need a team like that. He need a team just like that. Just let him be him off the bench. Let him fill it up. I like the Charlotte move. Yes. Yeah, Kobe White. You talking about Kobe White, Anthony Jefferson. And I seen they just moved Tyus Jones too. I know they had acquired him, but they done moved him somewhere else. Yeah, Kobe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kobe's gonna do well for them. Got two Carolina boys and Kobe and Grant Williams on the team. Yeah, I like what they got going on in Charlotte, and they on an 8 game win streak. So if he can fit in seamlessly with what they have going on right now, because I think they're one game behind the Bulls outside the playoff picture right this second. But I think they continue to win at this rate or a similar rate, they'll climb their way up out of that and at least be in a play-in scenario. I want to see them at least get to 7 so that they'll get two cracks at it to get in. Yep. DMV made moves this year. Trey Young and AD, they technically wilding. Yeah. Yeah, the DMV, they did their thing. And if you can get AD healthy, think about what him and Sar can be defensively for that team. Him and Sar can be pretty dynamic on the defensive end. That just depends on Anthony Davis's health and availability. But Sar was leading the league in blocks at one point. I don't know if he still is, but he was at one point. Charlotte needed a backup scorer and at PG. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Mm-hmm. And Colin Sexton, he had some decent games recently, but I definitely see why they went out to Kobe. Kuminga finally getting away from the Warriors. Thank God. Midnight Holler. Thank God. I just want to see what the young man can do, right? Like, he couldn't play through any mistakes. He had the shortest leash of anybody on that team. And Steve Kerr just wants us to believe that he didn't fit in. When we saw Wiggins and those guys fit in, we saw Kuminga improve his shot. Okay, he might have made a few mistakes, but you deprived of athleticism on the perimeter, but that's the one player you don't play on the perimeter? Make it make sense. You're deprived of athleticism and you don't have size, and he didn't find any minutes for him. I was always confused and baffled by that one. For the life of me, I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand that one. Do y'all think John Morant has any value in the league after this contract? Because we kind of saw what his. You think the media wants Giannis to leave or him? That's a good question, Anthony Jefferson. Mm, I think Giannis wants to win, and I think he's torn between. I think he really loves Milwaukee. I think he is okay being in the small market. I really do, and I think them drafting him, them bringing his brother in. He just always loved that home feel of Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? He just loved that place. Um, but the media always pushes people out the door in today's game. Such a ring culture. Guys aren't appreciated for just getting one. They always look at you. You got to get four. You got to get five. And they always pushing the players to that. Where I think Giannis getting Milwaukee one is impressive. It's more impressive than anybody who teamed up and got a ring, in my opinion. And you see, like, even when you win, and I'm glad you said that, Anthony Jefferson. Even when you win, I see people trying to create division between Tatum and Brown because Brown got the Finals MVP and Conference Finals MVP. That's a good problem to have that you got two capable players that you drafted who can both take over in the playoffs and be like that. You know what I'm saying? But they're trying to make it as if one's better than the other and create that. I always, in my videos, I tell them, don't take that bait because they're just trying to create division between y'all. I like the fact that Brown can do that and Tatum can do that because y'all can be a problem for years to come. You both got paid your maximum money. The media will create a problem where there ain't one. And I think they doing that same thing, trying to get Giannis out the door. What do y'all think? John Morant still got a lot of value in the league. What y'all think job value is? I know Sacramento was a team that really, really wanted him. They really wanted him because they wanted him to return to superstar status, under their watch. But he Jaws missed a lot of money, over the last few years, whether it was paying it back for suspensions, not hitting incentive based uh markers on your contract to get your maximum money. Remember he's supposed to make first team and all that type, first, second team, all NBA. All that stuff was built into that contract, and he didn't. You know, I don't think Ja has any value. Nobody wants to deal with his antics or his dad antics. Yeah. Speaking of that, let me go back to this slide. Did you see what he put on X after the trade deadline? Let me go back. I want y'all to see this. That's what he put on X as the deadline came to an end. Let me see. Is it gonna come up? He put a picture of Ja, covering his ears, like basically everything that's been said was a lie, and that he wasn't gonna get moved. And I wouldn't have advised him to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do something like that? Look at that. This is his response to the trade deadline. You see what I'm saying? That type of stuff. People get tired of that. People get tired of that. Everything going back to him getting face to face with Shannon Sharp, all that stuff started to become a distraction. There's other stuff that happened in that city too that I've been told by one of the Memphis Hustle's staff that I ain't even gonna leak that online because then everybody will know who I talked to. And basically, he was getting involved with things that was going on in the city he didn't need to be involved with. I just leave it like that. Yeah, yeah, it's insane. Always injured, haven't improved your jump shot, becoming more of a headache than what you can provide for your team. They'll deal with you a little bit long as you fill in the seats and you be somewhat the face of the league. But think about what they've done for this guy as far as what they covered up. The Foot Locker or Foot Action, whichever store it was, that whole thing. They covered up pointing laser beams at the Pacers bus for him. Think about it now. They've covered up a lot that he's done, in his career. Um, the fight, or almost about to be a fight at the middle school, high school event up there in Memphis. A lot of, and then the thing that happened at his house. They covered up a lot, and they ain't gonna cover up so much. Then they'll start to use it against you if you don't show any change. It's how I feel. So, mm, I don't know. I don't know, but he had no value. So I don't know. This is why I don't know why T is posting this online when he clearly didn't have value to be traded. And for y'all that didn't see what Kerr said about Kuminga, I'm gonna put that back up so y'all can see that right quick. He wasn't like that in college. They loved him. Yep, Midnight Holler, you right. Trying to live the NBA life, living vicariously through the child. Yep, that's an issue. That's a big issue. Yeah, nah, Anthony Jefferson, he was, he didn't get recruited that much to about his junior year. He got offers from South Carolina State, Maryland Eastern Shore, small schools like that. Then he kind of blew up after that. But yeah, and people be trying to help, but I guess they ain't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? People be concerned with them. Uh, and then pulling out the guns on live. That's just irresponsible. Very irresponsible, man. And it's really sad because you're gonna look back, or he gonna look back in a few years and be like, not only did I not make all the money I could, I was giving them. You don't never want to get to the NBA and give them money back like he's doing. Not only is he not getting his maximum by not hitting the incentive markers, but he's giving back money, off of what he is getting from his fines and the suspensions and stuff. That's not the name of the game. But I am happy for Jonathan Kuminga. Out of all of these moves, I'm most proud of Jonathan Kuminga and him getting the opportunity to play in Atlanta. I do like that for him. Jonathan Kuminga, he deserves this chance. He's been more than professional, way more professional than most of us would have been, um, under those circumstances. Mike Dunleavy come out there and say, for there to be a demand, there has to be demand for you to be traded. And a lot of teams show interest in Kaminga over the summer. What they did was they just held on to him until everybody signed whoever they wanted. And then, here they go saying that yeah, he's he ain't had nowhere to go after that. I'm with you, Midnight Holler. Yep. That's why I saved that for this video. I wanted to come in here and talk about that. And I seen that quote. Why is he still talking about Jonathan Kaminga? No need to say everybody liked him. I liked him. I mean, you can keep all that. I think Curry and all them like playing with him. Sound like everybody was speaking up for how good he was, how hard he worked. The fact that you couldn't find Kaminga minutes, Kerr need to tell me why he couldn't find Jason Tatum minutes on Team USA in certain games. See, that's how I know it's a flaw of his. He couldn't find minutes for Tatum on Team USA, and he couldn't find minutes for Kaminga on the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. I'll be back if something else happen in the league. We'll chat about it. Hit that like button, subscribe, out.